I've had this ongoing dialogue back and forth this week with a woman on the DIY themes forum, and she wants to, well, actually, I'll show you what she wants to accomplish. She wants to accomplish this on her home page. So she's got these, 4 images and those kinds of things already figured out. But she was thinking she needed something special to construct these 2 blocks of text. And she wanted these 2 blocks of text to be easily editable. So she wanted some kind of an edit screen on the home page that would allow her to do that. And I suggested to her that rather than having something special on her home page, what she should just do is create a short code for the purpose of developing this, and then teach your client how to use a shortcode. Babe, would you give me a soda? So that's what we're going to demonstrate this evening, how to create a shortcode in WordPress and then use that shortcode for a variety of things, for styling text in particular. I use shortcodes on my site for things like these little check marks here. You will probably have noticed that there are 3 different styles of check marks. There's the green one, which means that you're logged in and you have access to the video. There's the yellow one that means you would have access to the video if you were logged in. And then there's the red one, which means you have to be logged in and a paid member in order to see the video. Well, that is all accomplished by means of a shortcode. And in fact, you can see that. I'll just take a look at that in my pages here. And we just look at one of our lesson pages. Okay, let's see, customize thesis like a pro, for example. If we go to the visual, you can see that little thing right there that says public. That is a shortcode. And that public shortcode will always show a green checkbox, whether you're logged in or you're not logged in, because public videos don't require a login. And so that's one of the ways in which I use shortcodes. I also use shortcodes for embedding videos and a variety of other things. And those of you who have gone through the e-commerce tutorials with me, you will recognize shortcodes from the catalog, because we use shortcodes to create the catalog in WP eStore. But now what you're going to learn tonight is how to just create shortcodes from scratch for yourself. This was a shortcode I made for myself, and we are going to, I have a website here that I'm going to use to demonstrate this. The website is forumdemos.bybwebsite.com, and I use this site to demonstrate answers to questions that I give on the DIY themes forums. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a shortcode that takes this block of text and divides it up into 2 and then puts a border around it and styles it and that sort of thing. And so we're going to start off by opening up the custom functions PHP file for that website, which is the one I have here. And let's see, we're just going to steal this block of comment text, and this function defines our shortcode. Actually, before I do this, I should tell you a little bit about shortcodes. And I actually brought up the WordPress codex for this on the subject. There's a shortcode API in WordPress, and which is where we get this whole shortcode thing. And there are 2 kinds of shortcodes. There is a self-closing shortcode, which is the kind of shortcode I use on my site where you saw that little premium inside of a set of brackets. That's a self-closing shortcode. The shortcodes that we use on WP eStore to develop a catalog, those are also self-closing shortcodes. But then there are as well enclosing shortcodes. An enclosing shortcode, well, actually, I should just show you what an enclosing shortcode looks like. We'll go over to one of my video posts. And understanding thesis filters part 1. And if we Okay. Oh, video post options. There we go. So, nope, this one's not going to do it because that does not have a shortcode in it. However, now that I say that, I think the home page does, in fact, have a shortcode like this. And we go to the home page because I think I put Jackie's video in that way. Yeah, there we go. You can see this right here is also a shortcode, and it is actually it is a self-contained or a self-enclosed shortcode. The shortcode starts off with S3 video file, no S3 video, and then it has a whole bunch of potential attributes like files equal, and then there's the location of the file. Width equals, that's the width of the video. Height equals the height of the video. Background image equals this. And so that is that is a self-contained or self-closing shortcode and not an enclosing shortcode as I remembered it was. But anyway, what an enclosing shortcode does is it takes the content between the opening and the closing shortcode, and it includes that content inside the processing. And so that's the kind we're going to make here right off the bat, is an enclosing shortcode. And that enclosing shortcode is going to wrap the block of text this extra style. And so I'm just going to go ahead and start typing away. And we start off with a function. And I'm going to call this BYOB content boxes. And then opening and closing brackets. Okay. And then a shortcode, an enclosing shortcode, needs to have a couple of different elements to it. And so the first thing it takes is an attribute, and it's already the name of that of the variable for those attributes is already fixed. So it's $ATTS. And then the name of the value of the content is $content. And then we want to set that content to null, which is essentially an empty value to start off with. This syntax is dependent upon, or this is the syntax you need to use if you're going to use enclosing shortcodes. You can't skip the attribute even if you're not using it because just the way the code works. And then content needs to be set to nothing or to null in order to be able to be filled. And so anyway, that's the beginning of the function. And now what we do is really very simple. We create a variable. I'm going to call it BYOB boxes. Underscore boxes. And then I'm going to assign it the value of, first I'm just going to give it a value of the opening HTML tag that I want to use. So we use a pair of quotation marks and then div, and then we're going to give it this div a class equals, and then I'm going to just kind of call it BYOB content boxes. BYOB hyphen CONTENT hyphen BOXES. And then we're going to close that div and step outside of that and put a closing semicolon in. And then next to that, we are going to add, again, BYOB box. And now we're going to use a concatenation form, so it's period equals, and then $content, and the semicolon. And then one last time, $BYOB box, and period equals, and then we're going to have the closing div, which is /div. and then semicolon. Okay, so what happens here is I've written this out sort of longhand. I have a variable called BYOB box, and the first thing I put in that variable is div class equals BYOB content boxes. And then the second thing I put in that variable, and essentially attached to the very end of this variable, is $content, or the value of $content. And then the third thing I'm going to add to the end of content is the closing div. So essentially what we're doing is we're taking this thing called content and wrapping it in a div. And this variable called content is going to be the content text that we surround with these shortcodes. And so, and then we need the most important statement, which is our return. And we are going to return $BYOB underscore box, semicolon. Okay, so now when this function is called, it's going to return these things all together. And then we have to, this isn't actually a shortcode yet. This is just a function. In order to turn it into a shortcode, we have to use the form add shortcode. And then the name we're going to use for our shortcode, which in this case would be box. And then the name of the function that is we're using to create the shortcode, which is BYOB content boxes. And then a closing semicolon. Okay, so this little bit of code right here creates a shortcode whose name is box out of this function. And the add shortcode method wants to see a variable called ATTS and a variable called content. And it's going to return in the form of content BYOB box. Okay, so let's go ahead and just save that. And let's open up FileZilla. And we'll connect up to that site, which is forum demos. Go to themes, thesis 1.8, custom. That's this custom functions right here. So we'll just go ahead and upload that. And we'll overwrite it. So now this is what the text looks like at the moment, right? Before we refresh it. And in fact, when we refresh it, nothing's going to happen because we haven't put any shortcodes in here yet. But this is the back side of that site. And so if we go to pages and then we'll go to the demo 3 page, we come right here in front of this and we'll put our shortcode in. And we want to put this in the HTML view. So straight bracket, box, straight bracket. And then we're going to come over here to the end of the first sentence and we're going to put our closing or our wrapping shortcode, which is comprised of backslash in front of the box or a slash in front of the box. And then that second sentence I'm going to use also, and so we'll say box again. I'll get rid of that little bit of space there. And then we're going to come down here to about that location. No, I guess we'll just come to the end, won't we? I think so. They need to be about half, so, or it's not going to look right. And then we'll just put the closing box in. And we'll update this. Come back over this page and we'll refresh it. Now you can see things have changed a little bit. I think what we'll do here is we will come over to and look at this in Firefox. Actually, this is what it's going to look like. When I was fooling around, I got here with it. But we're going to start all over again. So we come over here in Firefox, and when we inspect this element, you can see that what has happened is we have created this div class BYOB content boxes, and we have wrapped that section of text with an opening and a closing div called BYOB content boxes. So our little bit of code, let's see, let me get it over the way there for a second. Our little bit of code is working just fine. That the box shortcode ended up writing this div with this class on either side of each of these blocks of text. These each used to be part of a same paragraph, and now they are two different blocks. So now what we have to do is style those. So here we are in Web Developer, and I'm going to, and then, so now what we're going to do is we're going to style this. So I'm going to grab that class name, type div dot that class name, content boxes, and then 1, 2, 3. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make those things sit side by side. So I think we'll make the width about 42%, width colon 42%, semicolon. So now you can see that each one of these things is less than half the width of that content space. And then I want them side by side, so I need to say float left, float colon left, semicolon. Okay, now they are left and right of each other. And in fact, this little bit of code is floated up beside it. And so then I want to give myself some margin. Let's see, let's just call it 12 pixels. Okay, and in fact, I think I'd like a little bit more bottom margin. So I'm just going to say, actually, this is just going to be margin left. Just 12 pixels. This is going to be margin bottom. I'm going to call that, say, 20 pixels. Give me a bit more space here. And then let's write a border around them. Border colon solid. Okay, so we've gotten someplace with that. We have just created a solid border, but we don't want the text right up to it. So let's give it some padding. 10px. So now that's going to give us some space around the inside of that. And that also widens these boxes to fill the space. Now I want the border to be, I don't want the border to be that dark. I want it to be gray. So border color, gray, semicolon. And I think that's even a little wider than we want. So let's do, actually, you know, I probably could just do that here. Could do the shortcut version of border. Could do border solid 2px and gray. Yeah, I think I just get rid of that there. Okay, so that's the shortcut version. What would 1 pixel look like? Yeah, I think that was 2 pixels the way she had it. So 2 pixels. Okay, so that is now our 2 little boxes. So I guess what I'm going to do now is just select all of that, copy it, come back over here. Actually, we need to open up that CSS file. So we'll open up that custom CSS file. And we'll just come down here to the bottom and paste it. So we've got a width of 42%. They both float left. Margin left of 12 pixels. Margin bottom of 20 pixels. Border around them solid, 2 pixels in gray, and the padding is 10 pixels. So go ahead and save that. Come back over to FileZilla. Upload custom CSS. Now let's refresh that and see how it looks. Okay, it looks pretty good. And if we look at her example, she's got this red text in there. And if we wanted to do that, at this point, I would just say that she should switch the visual view, select the text that she wants red, pick the color of red she wants, and do it that way, because she wants to do it as easily as possible with as little code as possible, and I think that's pretty much it. This is a minimum amount of code. Hit update. Come on over and take a look. Okay. And so pretty much we've got what she was attempting to accomplish. We have two gray boxes sitting side by side, equally spaced in their space, and we have text that's easily editable inside the context of that. And that should make, I think, probably everybody happy.